gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. They deceive with the negativity, but I just slide right by that energy. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. You got a mind, but even that could change. You could flip the gray matter like some batter in your brain. That's why I say, fake it till you make it A. And if you play that game, then you just might make a change. Rearrange all the bad to okay. Take the worst thoughts saying, turn them to a game. Take the best thoughts saying, put them on display. On repeat in your brain till you're feeling no more pain. Never slow yourself down, you can do some more. Push past all the pain and you'll find a door. Open it up and finally explore everything that you thought you could never do before. And even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Till I collapse, I'll be moving too fast. Got my foot up on the gas, full throttle till I crash. I'm back with a vengeance. You gon' see me end this. I will be ascending. I don't ever slack. I got my eyes on a prize. What I see for my life, I don't float, no, I fly. Do or die. Cause you gotta do or die. There ain't no compromise. Get ready for a fight. Do you wanna see what you're made of? What if there was no one to save us? Would you leave it all on the pavement? Would you dive the ground with some straight blood? I just wanna find all my limits. I'ma put everything in it. I'm in this life to win it. And this is just the beginning. Do you want it bad? Do you want it bad? Do you want it bad? I'll fight till I collapse. I'll fight till I collapse. Till I collapse.
All right. Happy Tuesday, everyone. I finally got to say Tuesday, like I've been saying almost every week this year, and I'm finally right. So, yeah, happy Tuesday. Hope everyone had a great Memorial Day weekend. Cal, I heard you had a great time.
Yep, absolutely. I definitely just left a sinking ship as my 0-3 Angels go 0-3 again, and just went on vacation to forget about all my woes. So I'm happy to be back in the seat here and just see what have I done.
Yeah,
It's really
yeah.
good to come to fruition here. So yeah, excited to be back though. It seems like the solo trip went pretty well for you too. So
Yeah,
the Monday show was pretty solid.
Yeah, very, very, very much so. Had a nice weekend. Got to hang out with the kiddos, so that was nice. Weather has been really, really nice here for the most part, which has been great. Getting our pool opened up and ready to rock there too. So we're pretty excited about that. But yeah,
Beautiful.
It was great. However, I was watching the same sinking ship you were for the most part. So same boat. We'll we're not going to have too much dump talk or anything this week. Obviously, we're going to try and save that for next week. As a reminder for everyone who is watching currently or who will be watching, we are pushing it out till Wednesday next week, mainly because I have a work trip that I have to go on until Wednesday. So we'll be doing that Wednesday night, which honestly is probably not the worst thing in the world because it gives us more days for trades to go through and more for us to talk about. So that one next week will probably be a little bit longer. So be on the lookout for that Wednesday next week. But this week we got still got some cool stuff to talk about. Why don't I'm actually going to start off because it was our game of the week last week. The clash of the Titans of the ABL this year between Washington and Philly, and Washington ended up taking it out. It actually was sort of a comeback in a sense. I believe someone screenshotted in the ABL chat that Philly was up like 20 or 30 points or something like that, either like going into the weekend or somewhere later. It seemed like in the matchup, and then Washington had like a massive Saturday, I think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Right?
I believe the exact post is on the 25th. So I think that would have been on Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like it would have been.
Or no.
Today's
the 27th. Yeah.
From Saturday going into Sunday.
That's what it was.
It was 251 to 232. Phillies up over Nationals, and then of course Nationals with a massive Sunday.
Crazy.
To take the dub. So yeah, lot going on. It looks like it was 85-point Sunday.
Jeez.
Brought the game of the year title to the Nationals. So
that's wild.
Insane. That's an insane way for it to go down, but pretty much as advertised. The two Titans going at it. So I mean, someone had to win that game. Kind of sucks to put up that many points for the Phillies and still lose.
Yeah.
But someone's going to win. It was a good matchup.
Well, at the end of the day, it's going to be like that in the playoffs too, right? I mean, these two
absolutely.
are obviously going to be, you would think towards the top of the NL when it's all said and done. Obviously, one of them is going to end up being what I would assume is the 4 seed, which is going to be wild. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. What was kind of your first takeaway from last week?
Well, I'd say it was mainly in division. I don't know. I think Seth has left his voodoo doll floating around for Josh to kind of poke around with, because something's been cooking. Like the voodoo that Seth had to make the playoffs every year, it seems to have just fallen in Josh's lap as well.
Yep.
Granted, Josh is a phenomenal owner, but there are just some things that are beyond understanding. And the Mariners having a full turnaround, putting up 340 plus points this week,
crazy,
going 3-0,
crazy.
But it's not even going 3-0. Which, by the way, has turned Josh into a full-on buyer, apparently, based on the trade block. No, it's the fact that his division rival now at this point, the A's, go 0-3 by an average margin of 3.7 points per game. Just
crazy.
A heartbreaking week for Dylan. Not what you want to see when you're trying to stay in that division lead. And now it's tied. Yep. It's a dead draw in the AL West. And I feel like the AL West has gotten a lot of flack, deservedly so. However, something to note is that the Angels are technically, based on points alone, not by record, actually also by record too. The AL West is home to the second best, worst team in their division, which I think, just based on math, makes the AL West the second best division in the league. Because also to further my hypothesis, the best worst team is the NL East, which we all agree is the best division. So using that logic, AL West second best.
So are you saying that like you have the second best record of all fourth place teams?
Fifth place teams.
Or fifth place teams. Gotcha.
Yes,
fifth place teams.
That's
yeah.
correct.
Okay. So Miami's got 9.
Worst team in a division.
So let's see. Okay, so 5-19. NL East has 9. So AL West. Yeah, you're 7. Okay, so yeah, you'd be second.
Yep.
Yeah, 4 in the AL East, and then my garbage 5 wins in that. Yeah, so technically, if you use that
weakest link, it's a pretty strong chain, I would say.
If you use that logic, yeah, I
AL
guess.
West is second best.
Yeah, and not surprisingly, the NL East is first. So
yes,
because that's wild.
But, we move forward to the NL Central though. Pirates took a lead finally.
Yep.
I figured they were going to go 3-0. It looked like quite the 3-0 week for them. They came out strong, put 330 plus points. But the Brewers also they had a solid week, but just couldn't put the Pirates away. But they're now falling short of that second place, even though they scored 340 points. I think they still lost to the Mariners, which of course we've already brought that voodoo magic. So NL Central still crazy tight. The Cubs are 15-9 in fourth place. That's just ridiculous.
It's crazy.
NL Central is just a wild division. Many would argue that they're probably the best division, but I'm not going to do that. I'd say AOS is probably in the hunt now for it. So, but no, some wild moves going around the league so far. I'd say.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I pulled up the power rankings that Dylan graciously was able to get ready for us again this week. But Pittsburgh jumped into the top three, which
Yep.
if I'm anyone at the top, like that's something I don't want to see, right? I want to see Duke sitting in like the lower top 10 maybe, right, where someone gets to pick him in the first round, something like that. Seeing him in the top three, having a possible easier first round matchup, or getting close enough to have a bye. Like, I mean, it's just crazy, right? Or no,
Yeah.
I guess we don't have buys anymore, so you wouldn't
Right.
get a bye, but be able to get a good matchup. Because I mean, right now he'd be the 2 seed, right? So,
You'd be able to pick your spot. It's
yeah,
kind of nice.
be crazy. But yeah, that was very, very interesting as well, just to see them jump that high. For me, I had out in the AL East, the Yankees had another good week. They now have a 4-game lead out in the East. That was a race that a couple of weeks ago we were talking about how it was close. Weren't sure who necessarily was going to come out of there. Was Kevin going to be a buyer at the end of the day? Looks like probably not, right? My assumption is, unless something crazy happens, that Gary's probably going to wrap that up pretty easily, just given the team he has. And then something that I thought was interesting, talking about playoffs too, and especially on the NL side of things, looking out in the NL West, we've always had a close race, right? You got the Giants, Padres, Dodgers, all within a game. Giants are ahead of the Padres by a game, Dodgers by 2 games, Rockies by 4 games. Whoever gets second in that division has a very good chance of being left out of the playoffs.
Yep.
Which is crazy because, I mean, obviously you look at the Central, you have 4 teams that are probably making the playoffs there. In the NL East, you have 3 teams that are probably making the playoffs there. And so essentially you're trying to chase a 16-8, 15-9 team right now as a 12-12 team. So you're 3 games back right now of getting that wild card spot. It's not looking good for the NL West. So
No.
that's kind of, it almost, leads me to kind of think, does one of those teams try to really become a buyer to ensure that they can win the division, get the playoff spot, etc.?
Even if you're going to be a division winner, I mean, what's the use, kind of? I mean,
Possibly.
it's so inferior to these other teams.
Yeah.
Within the NL.
Yeah.
Are you going to sell everything off for what at the end of the day? I mean, a few extra dollars is not too bad. I mean, to be a division winner,
Yeah.
absolutely, it's huge.
Yeah.
But to kind of sacrifice your long term, I don't know if many teams are going to want to do that. I mean, maybe some will, but
so that's a
hard sell.
That's an interesting question too, right? It though is like, would one of those teams being a buyer, is that the same type of buying as, say, a Washington or a Philly? To me, I would say probably not, right? They, like, if I'm Rourke and I'm the Giants, I don't necessarily need to go out and get the best guys on the block, but maybe I go out and get a couple of decent guys on the block, right? And that's enough to get there. So you're not, it's almost the best of both worlds, right? You're going out and getting something that'll help you this year, while also probably not having to give up, maybe you give up a middle tier prospects, halfway a second, third, or fourth round pick for a guy, that kind of stuff. That's probably worth a division title. I think most of us would give that up, right? If that insured us a division title. So, because anything can happen in the playoffs, right? But
yeah, I'm just being a hater because I'm not going to get division title.
Hey, trust me, I feel you. All of my conversations in the past week or so would show that I am, I'm not anywhere close either. So. All right. Anything else standings wise, power rankings wise, you wanted to hit on, chat about?
Nope.
Okay. Let's move on to some transactions. Then we did have a couple of trades.
Love it.
Which is nice, kind of like a warm up, so to speak.
For a second there, I saw a name that I recognized. I was like, "Whoa, is
crazy.
that a dump? It has to be a dump."
Crazy, right? Actually, crazy. I mean, I titled. I know you probably didn't see this, but I titled this episode of the podcast something along the lines of like, "Will Aaron Judge ever find his true home?" or something like that. Because I mean, just every year, right? And in this case, probably this might be the first time maybe in the history of the league where Judge has actually been traded for like non-top prospects, right? He was actually he was actually involved in a regular MLB trade. But some big names here. Yeah, it's 100%. I would be shocked, honestly, if he wasn't.
Yes.
But yeah, some big names here. What are your thoughts on the trade?
I think it's a solid return. I think the Cubs are acquiring. I mean, Rodon. Evan already put it out there with that solid stat line.
Yeah.
Of course, we have him. He's also a Space Cowboy in the ACL, so we're very familiar with Rodon's production. But if for a team that needs pitching, Cubs are kind of trying to fight in this race
Yep.
with the Central. It's a good get. Is it worth sacrificing Judge for it? That's a real tough sell. I mean, maybe you hope Abel's kind of like a fringy guy. You can kind of get some starts out of him. But at least for Cubs giving that up anyways to get the Rodon, but you're also getting the great prospect in Brandon Sproat. So I don't think that's much of an issue long term. You're not going to be able to keep Judge. I don't know what Rodon's contract was. I should have looked at that before we went into it, but we know Judge is a perennial auction guy. So that was always going to be a rental basis essentially.
His contract's $25 on a first, so
$25 on a first.
Certainly
I mean,
keepable.
he's certainly outperforming that right now.
Certainly keepable.
Yeah, so being able to keep that versus not being able to keep Judge, I think, is also a value as well, which is probably where, hey, you give me Judge in return for this deal was kind of Evan's play.
Yeah.
So I think both teams win. Evan needed a bat. He gets Judge. He gets his guy, and the Cubs get some pitching, especially for now and long term. It's definitely a win-win.
Yeah, and I mean, I was just looking at the Cubs roster. I mean, his bats are pretty sparse.
Yep.
So, and I know Frank's made it. He sent me a message last week, 2 weeks ago, just about something to kind of talk about. I'm glad you put this trade in there or something to talk about, because he brought up sort of in this message. It was a longer message, but just something that I thought was interesting was he was sort of talking about how his team, the Cubs specifically, are in an interesting spot, and they have been for years, because he sold off all of his stuff kind of every year to try and compete. And now he's at the point where he feels like he really can't do that anymore. He has to try and build something. And so what I thought was interesting, though, is like you have a piece like Judge, right, where you can get the type of return that would hopefully help maybe be a base for your future. And instead of going that route, and not to say that Rodon can't be the base of his future, but he's a 32-year-old pitcher, right?
Not,
I mean,
not young.
Who knows, right? So I don't know if I would consider him a base of a team, right, of a long-term vision. But I thought it was interesting that that's the route he ultimately decided to go. Now, I mean, Sproat and Soraka is kind of a throw-in, like whatever. So getting a guy like a pitcher like that as well, along with Rodon, could maybe be worth it, I guess, if he pans out. But I just thought it was interesting that he sent me this message about how he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. He feels like it's kind of an interesting dichotomy, seeing both sides kind of pushing and pulling against each other. And that's the route that he decided to go, because as we all know, Frank loves to compete. He's not a rebuild type guy, right?
Yep.
So end of the day, I think that kind of pulled through, which I thought was interesting.
Well, and I would even I guess add this, is that like last year's haul for Judge was not like crazy
Totally
either. And it was during the dump.
Yeah.
I'm looking back at it right now, and Judge netted Kiermaier, Tyler Black, a first round pick, and Chase McDermott.
Yeah.
I would say this return is pretty solid.
Yeah.
For considering last year's dump market.
Well, and it's got to be salary, right? That's got to be the reason, right? The teams aren't.
I mean,
willing to.
It's the fact that I can't keep Judge.
Yeah.
I think while you can probably view it as, if you waited to the dump, he can sell it for a higher price.
Yep.
You can also look at it as there's an exclusive market to get this bat pre-dump. So Evan making the move early on, he gets to cash out on Judge earlier. He gets there before everybody else. Does he give a pitcher to do it? Yes. But he also gets the best hitter in baseball right now. So I think that's where I think it's definitely a win-win.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting too, talking about Evan's side of it, where, I mean, he's not necessarily competing, right? I mean, at a high level. Again, obviously no offense to Evan in any way, shape, or form. That's just kind of the reality of it. But I think we both mentioned we would be shocked if he was not moved again in some capacity, which, again, I don't know. My assumption would be Evan's a little more on the prospect side of things. He enjoys prospects. He enjoys younger guys and that kind of stuff, much more so than Frank does. So maybe that's what we're looking at, is more of a pick prospect type return come dump time. I don't know if anyone else has talked to him about Judge. That would be interesting to find out. But yeah, just kind of interesting from that side. So that was good. Anything else on that one?
No, I think
Okay.
that's very good.
So the other one we saw also included Frank, not surprisingly. And again, he's really trying to kind of beef up his pitching staff, I guess. But Barrios, he picked up Barrios from Linney. Linney got Taylor Clark, Sheng En Lin, who I know nothing about for the most part off the top of my head. And then Lennon Sosa. Thoughts on that return?
Well, it's really hard to say anything for Lenny's return because I mean, if we're doing prospects and kind of role players versus an established starter,
Yeah.
I don't really know what the I don't know what the I guess the reasoning was on it. I don't know enough about Lynn either to really make a valid critique or anything on it. So,
Yeah.
but just on the Cubs getting Barrios, again needed. You look at the Cubs pitching without Rodon and without Barrios, it's pretty abysmal. And
Yep.
it makes so absolutely needed. Frank sees a hole, and like I said, he's been able to compete, but his year after year just been like right off that cusp of being able to be like the big dog in the Central.
Yeah.
So I think he's trying to make a play at it. If he can win that first round, can he keep the ball rolling from there, or even just pull off a miracle and win the Central and not to deal with any of it? I don't know what the plan for this season is, but he seems to be trying to bankroll everything into this year, and he sees the glaring hole with pitching, and he's going after it. So I think for the Cubs, it's great.
Yeah, I mean it's interesting because I was just when you made that comment about the pitching staff, just looking at kind of the points per game type thing. He's got Tanner Gordon for Colorado, who's sitting at 13 and a half points per game. Miles Mikolas is sitting at 13. Mm-hmm. He's got Framber, who's sitting at 18, which is great, but he's also a $37 contract for 2026. So it's decent value, I guess, right? As a top end pitcher. But then he's got Blanco injured, Imanaga injured, and Wisniewski injured, all who are 13 plus points per game as well. Mm-hmm. One of which he's not getting back this year in Wisniewski. Imanaga looks like he should be coming back, and Blanco might not be coming back for a while either because he's dealing with elbow inflammation, which essentially means in baseball terms nowadays, like your career's over. So
yes.
I think it was smart to get the pitching. He needed it. Whether or not it's worth it at the end of the day from a longer term perspective, I don't know. I did look up Lynn, by the way, too.
I was going to bring it up as well.
Okay, go ahead.
No. Well, basically, he spent 3 years in rookie ball from the ages of 17 to 19. Yep. It's still in rookie ball this year. Granted, it's only been 8 games, which is a super small sample, but 507 OPS, not what you love to see after your third year in rookie ball. Again, way too small of a sample to really make that much of an assumption, but last year he had 836 OPS at 18 years old in rookie ball for the Reds. So,
yeah, not terrible by any means.
Not terrible, but also not like I got to get him.
He's also 5'11", 185. So,
yes. We're a hype podcast.
So. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's
dude. At least if you're 5'11", lie. If you're 5'11", they're real good.
Yeah, it's very. You know what? This is interesting. I don't know what this means, but so I just looked on his transactions, and it says on February 3rd of this year he was assigned to Chinese Taipei. Is that a world thing? It's got to be a world thing, right? That's not a team. That's not a team in China. Because Chinese Taipei is like a.
I mean, I get like.
That's what I mean. I don't know.
Maybe that's just like Baseball Reference's term for like when they have to like quote assign them a team.
Yeah,
so
it could
that's
be.
like an active team he's playing for.
Could be. Yeah, I just saw that and I was like, that's interesting. But okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So that was that trade, and then you had a transaction you wanted to highlight as well.
Yes, Tugboat. Matt Wilkinson got cut, which was very surprising by the Cubs. This is a Cubs podcast from now on.
100%.
Tugboat gets dropped, which was, I think, overall pretty surprising. We're talking about
a little bit, yeah, a little bit.
A huge pop-up prospect last year. Is it fair to call him pop-up? I will just call him pop-up. He's fat. So those guys are not usually on radars.
Yeah.
So shout out for representation of Tugboat, and then gets picked up by the Marlins for free. So it's really Frank on Frank crime. You really hate to see it. But it was a great get, I think, prospect-wise, to get a really, I guess, I don't know how to describe him because it's like he has a lot of things going against him. But man, I mean, the stats don't lie for a lot of what he does. So it's a fun prospect, nevertheless, for free. You can't hate on.
And I mean, you pick him up over a prospect like I think you say it's Rain Don Cohen is how you say his name.
Yeah, I would take Tugboat. He's got a
again
nickname, too.
as
That's
someone
also
who
huge.
100%. You just take him
Yeah.
nickname alone gets him.
Yes.
Gets
We don't
him
have a lot of
mad.
nickname prospects.
But
so.
my God, I don't even know why Rain was rostered by Frank. I guess, but he's not the talk of the town up here in Minnesota. Let's put it that way.
No, no.
So yeah, love that pickup there. Anything else transaction wise?
No, that's pretty much
Good.
it. But it was starting to heat up. I'm very excited for
100%, man.
show.
Next week should be a lot of fun, and
Yes.
we'll see what happens. But next week now, and I realized we actually have the same. Our number twos are semi the same here, so I'm gonna let's talk. We'll talk about that first. Some big AL Central matchups this week.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure I'm on the right week here. So Kansas City, they have a pretty tough schedule just in general. They play the Pirates and the Dodgers out from the NL, but they also play the Tigers. So 1-2 matchup in the AL Central. And then the one that you and I highlighted is Cleveland and the White Sox also play each other, tied in the AL as well, both probably fighting for some kind of spots in the AL. Obviously not mentioning me because my team's not worth talking about this year. But those are some great AL Central matchups this week. I wish all four of them the best of luck. But yeah, that's kind of the first one we talked about. What was the other one you had kind of looked at this week?
Yeah, I think the A's are hoping to reverse their luck, but it's going to be a hard week to do it. But it's going to be a tough schedule. They got the White Sox, they got the Nationals, and the Braves, all very tough teams. And I mean, if the voodoo doll that the Mariners have cooking up is still active, it might be another 0-3, which is deadly. It's not what we need right now. And Mariners' schedule, for those you want to know, is Mets, Cubs, Rockies. So definitely doable for the Mariners. I don't know what the Mariners are. I have no idea if they're good or not.
Nope.
I don't think Josh knows. I think that's why he's absolutely going all in and buying now.
Yeah.
Just keep it going, however long you got it. So ALS is heating up. It's a dead heat right there in the ALS, and I'm very excited to see how it shapes out. I don't get to really be involved in it. Maybe I could. Maybe I won't. I mean, I don't even know why I said that. That's not true. I'm not going to be involved in it. I just get to watch it again. So, congrats to both of you having a good time.
Well, I think it'll be the reason I think it's kind of interesting is one because they're both kind of trying to buy, right? Both have very different rosters. That's very apparent. But
I think Josh is more dangerous because he has so much less to lose.
100%. And again, nothing against Dylan, but we have all seen Josh and what he's capable of making a team into, right? So I don't think any of us doubt that whatever moves he does or does not make will be fine. And honestly, same with Dylan. Dylan's proven himself as a more than worthy owner in the league, so that would not surprise me at all. What'll be interesting to me is and this kind of goes back to the conversation about the NL West, are there any teams that are saying they're buyers but are not the cream of the crop buyers? Are they buying now and selling later? Whether that be pre-playoff or post-playoff.
Because like you're saying, like almost like an Aaron Judge trade, where like Judge could be a buyer, like
exactly.
Yes, I'm a buyer, but I will sell.
100%.
Do not think I won't sell.
Correct.
Yeah, I assume, I think everyone right now just thinks they're buyers. I think luck will have a lot to play into it.
Yep.
In the coming weeks, I think teams will hit the panic button early. I don't know where people are at. I have no idea what the market's like. Last year kind of shook my confidence in what you could get out of a dump.
100%.
So honestly, I have no clue what's going to happen, which is also I'm pretty excited about the whole thing.
Well, I think this year too, right? It feels like this year is a little more volatile because we have like a lot of good teams, right? It seems like there is a very, very distinct difference.
You're the elite or you're not.
Yeah, like compared to other years, it seems like there are even in divisions. We've already talked about this, right? But like you are either in an in division or you are in a not in division, right? Like it seems very, very split. So I almost am interested to see because I feel like that would lead to more volatile type trades, more bigger names. The fact that Aaron Judge gets moved before the dump deadline is psychotic to me. Like that's insane.
It's unthinkable.
Every other year, you would wait until the dump deadline and you would get a pretty decent return. So the fact that he's already right, yeah. The fact that he's
I still think
moved.
it's the best return he probably would have
100%.
I mean, I don't
100%,
which is wild.
Yeah.
But Evans,
That's the crazy
Evan's
part.
cashing in. Evan doesn't have to bid against anybody.
Yep.
That's the cool part about it. So,
100%.
That alone kind of should be alarm bells for everyone. That get ready.
Yeah.
Hold on to your pants here.
Hopefully,
So.
people gotta step up to the plate. That's for sure.
Yep.
Cool. All right. And then my last one, probably biggest matchup of the week, similar to last week, honestly, but St. Louis and Philly play each other this week. So two top 5 teams. Obviously not the divisional matchup that we saw with Washington and Philly, but still 2 heavy hitters matching up this week. So that'll kind of be our matchup of the week. I think that we'll watch in the next week. So
Absolutely.
Anything else from you on your end, sir?
No, other than all chips are in for next week. I'm
go.
excited.
Yeah, let's go.
Yes.
We're pumped and ready. You're gonna have a tier list of some kind, I
Yes, I
believe.
will.
I don't know if it'll be dump related or not. I would assume.
I don't know either.
in
I never
some
know.
way, shape, or form, maybe. But hey, I don't either, brother. I don't either. So I'm excited. It should be a good one. But yeah, look forward to that next week. But outside of that, I think that's all we got. So we will see y'all next week.
See you.
Bye.
Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. Hustle hard, hustle every single day. I'll be making moves till I'm buried in my grave. To the system, I don't wanna be a slave. I've been doing shit my way, or the highway. And in the driveway is a nice range. Cause I grind through the climb, I invite pain. You'll never hear me, bitch, nah, I don't complain. Just gotta flip the switch and you can go and obtain anything you want, anything you need. Your mind's got the key ingredient, it's belief. Build a seed with the negative.